People who have served St. Vincent and the Grenadines well and continue to serve St. Vincent and the Grenadines well. And when you look at the other side, the cartel, I just call them, they have a leader, never join a club, they say he play cricket, never do anything, you can't have a history. And when he moved from him, the next person, all we know he was living overseas, there's no history in St. Vincent of service to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. When you leave and you come out to the New Democratic Party, and you look at persons who from their early years have been given responsibility in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to take this country forward. Whether it is Soufrière evacuation, put in the hand of a young, I think was lieutenant at that time, to organize St. Vincent and the Grenadines while the Prime Minister or Premier, I want to call him at that day, was on a plane saying don't panic. This young man was in the heat of the ashes, and I mean heat, as we say. Also, Sports Football Federation, one of the best presidents ever come through in 79 glory. I could go on and go on. Taught me in school, you know. Taught me in school. Well, two of us look young the same. But he taught me in school. It's a good thing in them days he was a headmaster because I get a couple strokes in school, you know. So he was not one of those who administered that. President of the Employers Federation, all the employers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines put together, he was the man in charge. A man with a history of service under the Cadet Corps in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Contribution, I don't want to spend the whole night reading out the list. The point is, this gentleman that I'm going to bring to you has served St. Vincent from his youth, he's still young, continue to serve St. Vincent, and will continue to serve St. Vincent after the next election. Very powerful speaker. Want you to put your hands together. West St. George, and welcome from Central Kingston, Major the Honorable Clair Leacock to address you. Come down, Father, come down, come down.
Watching the time how the people are moving and murmuring to myself, wish I never had to be the way I see this world running shouldn't have to be, 'cause now every man's cup is filled with hate and overflowing. Father, I know things are going wrong, yeah, it's wickeder than before. We really checked so we could have run things, but it don't look so anymore, no. Come down, Father, come down.
Keisha, leave me alone. Keisha, leave me alone. I always having a problem with those people from West Kingston. Fabian Pastor, a very good night. Good night to my party chairman, Daniel Cummings, Honorable. Good night, Horace, the Treasurer. Williams, I think he's here somewhere. Shearer, good night. Senator Baptiste, parliamentary colleague, good night to you as well. Let me say up front, Sister Kay, I wish I didn't have to speak after you. I like others, yes, I like others have been at this platform on many, many occasions. And your presentation tonight is undoubtedly one of the best I've ever heard here in Fabian Pasture. It's from your heart and to their heart. And you spoke straight and direct. And I trust sincerely that the people have been listening to your message. And it also always warms my heart when politicians like myself and representatives and aspirants can speak directly to individual circumstances, street by street, house by house, family by family. And they know precisely what they're speaking about, so that once in office, they can go and solve that particular problem. And my takeaway from your presentation tonight, Kay, and I must tell you, I was sitting at the back, and as you came forward, I said, there goes a powerful and strong and consummate professional woman. And you delivered precisely in that term. Fairman Pasture, West St. George. You have an opportunity to make a difference. This is an election like no other. As I've been saying on radio, it's an opportunity to love yourself. Forget about the colors. Who is red, who is yellow, who is green, and who ain't even have color. Love yourself and stand and vote for principle and progress in the upcoming general elections. I said I've been here many times before. Tonight I'm here with my colleague Sister Kay. The last occasion, I believe it was Dr. Jules Ferdinand. The occasion before was Sister Venus Frederick. I believe before that, it was Dr. Linton Lewis. Kingsley was way back. And then there was Kingsley Lane, Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, and we could go all the way back to Carl Glasgow. And of course, the foundation in this constituency where the New Democratic Party is concerned goes back to Marcus de Freitas and Yvonne Francis Gibson. I believe, in all honesty, after they left, they just put a full stop to development in West St. George. But I call those names deliberately because, in all honesty, it has been among the best that the New Democratic Party could offer to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But there's something else that is common to all those names, or most of those names that I called. Bacchus-Baptiste, Senator. Jules Ferdinand, Senator. Venus Frederick, Senator. Linton Lewis, Senator. Bacchus-Baptiste, I just said Senator. In other words, the New Democratic Party always had a great respect for West St. George and always ensured, whether they were elected or not, we put in the House of Assembly someone who could give representation to the people of this constituency. We have never, ever turned our back on West St. George. I don't get into name calling and discussion. If I was Sesmaki, the first thing I would have asked them to do is state me what the name of for the community center. Because it is in such a deplorable condition. But if you couldn't respect your own home and family, thank you very much, then what would you respect? The truth be told, little development has taken place in this part of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Let me walk you through an exercise. Those standing here listening to me, whether you're NDP or whether you're Labour. If you got up tomorrow morning, do you think anybody will get into, would anybody get into a van and head to Mespo to look for work? You believe that? You think anybody would get into a van and head to Georgetown to look for work? Why not? Because nothing not day. If you can't get to Kingston, the city, and get something, maybe you may think of Calico. But that is your narrow radius of hope. And I can explain, Sister K, why the young lady said to you she lived in a state of hopelessness. Because the facts are that the government, not only have they failed, but they have not provided the people within my earshot, the people in Fairbairn Pasture, the people in Western George, who have been so loyal to them, with a fair opportunity to uplift and upgrade themselves. I know I'm in Fairbairn Pasture tonight, but I happen to have to go from time to time to welcome a village just nearby here. When you see the state of the road and how badly kept Welcome is as a village, you really want to know if you are welcomed to that village. It's not welcoming. And Western George has to take stock and decide they have it within their powers to do something about it. Now, my sister referenced tonight why she's here in politics. And she made one or two comments that I find striking. By the way, she said that there was two things that got her into politics. Bigger Bix, and I believe it's true, and the dismissal of Elvis Daniel. Well, she wasn't listening. I was close to her husband. He said it's three things. Me, Shara. She forget to mention that. So, okay, I wanted to be able to go home tonight. So Shara is three things why, but she leaves Shara out for later. But let's deal with Elvis Daniel now, because that is relevant and pertinent to where we are. Because it speaks directly to the distinguishing feature of what we are offering you here and the choice that you have to make in Fairbairn Pasture and in West St. George. Elvis Daniel was one of three teachers that was dismissed or lost their job to a government who had no decency, no principle, no honesty, no integrity. And in that trade union was one called Curtis King. And on that issue alone, he should never see or identify himself with anything called labor in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So it tells you immediately that the gentleman lacks principle. And if you don't have principle, you ought not to be in politics. It tells you that he is for himself first, second, and last. That is insufficient to go forward in politics. But that's not an isolated case and or a reason. Everything that that young man has stood for, you can identify them under the rule of the Labour Party unity, that is, to have got worse in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We have never had a state of crime and violence, including that in secondary schools in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as we have witnessed under the Unity Labour Party. We have never had the level of disrespect, violence, and assault on our women folk as we have had under the Unity Labour Party. We have never had a situation in St. Vincent and the Grenadines where as much as 46% of our young people, that is 1 out of every 2, cannot find a job in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We have never, from Joshua to Cato to Mitchell to Eustace, had a situation in which St. Vincent and the Grenadines has been so divided as a people. As I made the point in the parliament supported by my colleagues, In 19 years, won 9 long years in Parliament. Not one of us have ever been able to make a recommendation for a person to get poor relief in the Parliament. You know what I tell you? None of us have been able to make a case for the poorest of the poor to get some public assistance under this Unity Labour Party. Because unless you are a member of the Unity Labour Party, you must be dead, and they add politically in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You can't develop a country that way. And I can go on tonight and list a long list of atrocities. Why? Nobody who is self-respecting can take such a stand. You know, I'm not going to address it tonight. I might raise it when we get to the Parliament in next time. But you could appreciate, could you wrap your hand around it, that Jomo Thomas, a black professional Vincentian, brought up by struggling black families, can have Julian Francis saying you must stone him? You can imagine that? Look who wants to stone a black man, Jomo Thomas. I mean, and you sit down in a political party and hear somebody of another pigmentation disrespect your own and still put yourself forward? Oh God, man, have some decency. When will it stop? What kind of St. Vincent and the Grenadines are we building? And Jomo is 1,000,000 times over qualified than he is. It's a shame. It's a disgrace. And I know the comrade is hearing. The police will take the reports, the special brands, and some in the car parking. But if he can rebuke Julian, no better the beef, no better the barrel. In fact, if I was not a strong person, I would have been destroyed in the same way over the last 19 years. People don't remember, you know. I got 2 hours to get out of Vinlet, hand over the keys. I never looked back and begged them for a job. But here I am today. Thank God for my investment of my parents and my principle and my policy. Under him, I was never ever to see Parliament success. I was never ever supposed to be appointed. Not over his dead body. Well, maybe he dead and we ain't know. Or is dying, or parts of him have died. But leave that alone. This Fairbairn pasture, this West St. George, and maybe some are here in East St. George, you are important to the generations unborn in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You singularly change government in this country by going to the polls and voting for decency, honesty, and integrity in Senator K. Baptiste. And I implore you, and I beg you to do that. And I ask you to do that, not because, as she says, she wants to be called honorable or senator. She's not looking for a job. She's comfortable or satisfied in what the good Lord has provided her thus far. But Senator K. Baptiste is a member of a team of people who have been in their wilderness years and have stood firm in defense of the interests of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Now let me say this to you in all honesty, you know. Let me say this to you in all honesty. Because when I say you must love yourself, I'm also asking you to respect yourself, trust yourself, believe in yourself. And it is obvious. Nobody has to point that out to you. Your conditions today here are exactly the same as they were 19 years ago when the Unity Labour Party came to office. And year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, they have lied and failed to provide you with the promises. And for obvious reasons. What they say is there is not there and can't happen. And I cannot understand from our senior public servants down to the ministers of government how they can look you in the eye, and I see policemen here, and make such fools of intelligent people. How can you give a person a $6 note and send them to the shop to buy $8 worth of goods? How, when and where can that happen? That's what the budget has. $608 million to provide you with $875 million. How would it happen? Well, obvious. If you don't have enough, you have to beg, steal, or borrow, or do all three. And that's why you have the things in Parliament with special warrants and overdraft and petroleum funds and turning all kind of corners to try to make things happen. The government, not you the people, are the ones who are hand to mouth. Get it right. And the new Democratic Party comes to you with facts and says to you in crystal clear terms, maybe you don't remember, but I remind you, last year, in fact the year before, in the 2018 budget in the Parliament, and Daniel, you would remember that, I said that to the extent we did not have enough money to run this country, we had to accept the proposal that users had made nearly 15 years before to go for something called the Citizens by Investment Program. And we have to explain it more to you, and break it down for you to know what it means. And when I was doing that in the Parliament, typically, some of them tried to make asses of themselves. And I made the remark, if you had stayed in school and finished your education, you would not now be making such an ass of yourself. Because I was upset. But the truth be told, in this year, 2 years after, the government of the Central Bank of the Eastern Caribbean said that that program was the reason why the other countries were going forward, and we, St. Vincent, are in the same place. Well, before he could finish speaking, the government of the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, came and said the same thing. They are progressing and we are not. So, different speakers put it over in different ways. And I want them to say it how the major said it. And this is how I say it. St. Kitts is making millions and millions of dollars, sometimes as much as $400 million a year from that fund. This year, Dominica made $417 million. Grenada, I believe, might have been 2 something, others 1 something, 3 something. But they're all making millions and millions of dollars. That's those people who have the program. Do you see any Antiguan in Fairbairn pasture begging for a job? Do you see any Lucian coming by here saying he's hungry, he can't get nothing to do? Any Kittian, any Dominican, any such people? No! Because in their country, there is work more than they can complete for every carpenter, every mason, every painter, every electrician every gardener, every bricklayer to fulfill themselves and create a middle-class standard of living. That's the reality. They are well off. But you know what we do? We in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are the ones who have to take with belly and make boat and take off when it's to Canada and hide in the basement, or to Anguilla, or to the BVI, or to St. Kitts, Antigua and those countries to look for a living. It's we who go, they don't come. And they are so barefaced and shamefaced that even that they don't want to exploit politically the Farming and Employment Bureau. That if you want a job in those countries where they say have that program, come and ask them to apply to go there. And they don't finish there, you know. They don't finish there. They then turn around and go to Antigua to hire a plane to bring people back to St. Vincent to vote for them, not having helped you who are here. So the New Democratic Party is saying that we are asking you in Fairbairn Pasture, you in Western George, you in Eastern George, to lend us your support. Because if we can bring into this country another $300-400 million, we will make a major dent into the unemployment, and you will be able to change the galvanizer on the roof, change from wood to blocks, paint your house, tile your house, put in the toilets in the house, and live a more comfortable life than you are now existing. Love yourself and stand solidly behind the New Democratic Party. But it is not as if the New Democratic Party is putting all of its eggs in that program to create foreign direct investment. No! We said right here, as you can see, in Western George, just a 5-10 minutes from Kingston, you are essentially an agricultural community. Fertile soil, good land, and you are hard-working. You are a resilient people. And we're saying we can have value-added agriculture. Let us begin to protest those things which we grow. Let us give real opportunity to our young women to throw the handbag over their hands, get into the van in the morning, go to the work, and come back at the evening and look after the family. Let us give our young men on the block a reason for living and existing by having factories developed in this country to provide opportunities for themselves. Totally different vision. We're also saying that in the New Democratic Party, you are not on anybody's estate. It is time for them to go. They don't want me to make this point, but I'm going to make it because I know they will have to correct it. And I want to listen to it. I want you to listen to what I am saying. When they chose the leaders for their party for the upcoming election, they decided that Saboto and Camilo were not good enough to lead their party, the Unity Labour Party. You hear what I tell you? What did I say? They made a decision that those two young men were not good enough or are not good enough to lead their party, knowing full well that he has no intention to serve out the 5-year term. If you were to make the mistake, people of Fairbairn Pasture, and put the Unity Labour Party back into government, Ralph will ease himself out and ease himself in, and we will be the laughing stock not just of the region, but of the world, of which a person will become prime minister of a country without ever even leading a political party. Think about what the major said. A person who never played hopscotch or was in the Girl Guides or Brownies coming to lead St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So I know, mark my word, as the ease Straker out, they will ease him in. He will be the next deputy leader of the Unity Labour Party to provide an opportunity to justify an appointment. But you see the case and the arguments. This country is a serious country that needs people who understand the macroeconomic issues of how you take a country forward. That's the strength of the New Democratic Party. We have a skill set of engineers, agriculturists, community development people, sports, culture, military, that can propel this country forward. The choice is yours. Do not waste it. Make good use of it. Make Senator Bacchus-Baptiste your next representative. That way you demonstrate love for self and love for country. Good night, thank you, and God bless you.
This one goes out to all my women, you know, my strong women. So amazing how this world was made. I wonder if God is a woman. The gift of life astounds me to this day.